And at this historical moment when there is considerable tension, parliamentary democracy is of growing importance. Cooperation between parliaments is important in order to establish deep, friendly relations and to promote partnership and cooperation between peoples, particularly in a strategic area like the Mediterranean. It is a crossroads for cultural and economic exchanges over thousands of years. We're a bridge between Europe, Africa, and Asia, and it's an essential flywheel for development, not only for the countries around the Mediterranean. When it was started, the Euro-Mediterranean Partnership, which was established in 1995, the boundaries of this area were defined by the borders of the coastal states. The borders are now extended in the east towards the Caucasus and to the south, including Sahel, and to the east, the Persian Gulf. It's a vast area which concentrates major challenges of our times: terrorism, management of flows of migration, energy issues, problems linked to desertification, lack of water, and the lack of infrastructures. There is a challenge which is preliminary, which is to have mutual confidence. We have to work together in order to make these bonds closer and to have a Mediterranean identity which is equated with dialogue and mutual understanding. Italy, which has always had a central role in this complex scenario, is making its contribution felt. Recently, we've been able to consolidate our relations with traditional Western partners and starting up a positive cooperation with Middle Eastern and African states. This, for example, is borne out by the Mattei Plan, which was adopted in order to share with the African peoples and leaders a vision of growth which is based on an equal footing among countries. It is fundamental, therefore, for each of us to commit ourselves towards establishing security, guaranteeing security, promoting trade flows, and promoting communities. And therefore, I hope that these days will provide a useful input for and ever more intense dialogue in the understanding that we need closer and ongoing political and institutional synergy. Thank you, and I'd like to take the opportunity with an applause to greet Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani, who has joined us. Good morning, all. I would like to greet President Mayara, Commissioner Suica, Minister Tajani, and President Fontana, and all our colleagues and all our guests. I'm very glad to be with you today on the occasion of the 19th plenary session of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean to welcome all the delegates present, bringing the greetings of the presiding officer of the Senate, Ignazio La Russa. The Mediterranean has always been a strategic priority in Italy's foreign policy because of our position and our geographical projection. We are central to the Mediterranean, which is a crossroads of culture and trade, and essential for the prosperity of our peoples. We need to build together a positive agenda so as to make this area an area of opportunity for all. Therefore, we believe greatly in the instrument of political dialogue, particularly at the parliamentary level. We must go beyond our borders and build bridges between states and cultures, dealing wisely with the many challenges deriving from the Middle East and the sub-Saharan area, and which stretch to our country. I have been able to look at your agenda. I'd like to congratulate President Mayara and Mr. Centemero, who I express my best wishes to as the incoming president. combating human trafficking, combating terrorism and radicalization are essential, but also the right to health and access to water. Equally important are the issues of protecting the environment and biodiversity in our region, which are on the agenda, as well as economic development based on sustainable growth models. We must build prosperity. Economic growth must go hand in hand with politics for social development and to promote investments in health and protection of the weakest members of our society, and placing emphasis on the young who represent our future. In a society looking to the future, the contribution of women will be essential, who have to be guaranteed equal opportunities in all areas, going beyond gender stereotypes which exist in all our societies on both sides of the Mediterranean. The challenges of today's world can be dealt with some success, hope for success only by combining our forces through cooperation and dialogue, pooling the resources of all. Promoting dialogue, building solutions one step at a time. This Forum for Parliamentary Dialogue must also make a contribution towards building peace. And therefore, here today we express the hope that soon the enlarged Mediterranean can return to be an area of peace and prosperity. With this hope, dear colleagues, it only remains me to wish you a very successful meeting and to thank you once again on behalf of the Italian Senate and the whole of the Italian Parliament for being here in such great numbers.
And now it is with the greatest honor that I invite His Excellency Antonio Tajani, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Italy, to address our plenary session. It is a privilege to have the presence of Minister Tajani with us today. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. Bonjour à vous tous. Buongiorno a tutti. Allow me to speak in my mother tongue in
Good morning.
English mother tongue, Arabic mother tongue. This is better in Italian. You have the translation. Thank you very much. Grazie, è un grande piacere per me.
It's a great pleasure for me to bring you the greeting of the Italian government. For almost 30 years, I was a European Member of Parliament, and I believe greatly in the dialogue between parliaments. Parliamentary diplomacy has a very important role. Sometimes parliaments can do more than governments can because they are freer and they are in a better position for discussion which can bring results which are very important and useful for governments. We Italians are projected into the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is our history, our identity. It is our sea, and so we attach huge importance to all relations with the coastal countries in this important sea. We would like this to be a sea of peace, unfortunately, and for peace to win, to prevail over everything. But unfortunately, too many wars, too many conflicts, too many deaths in the Mediterranean, too many innocent victims. I'm thinking of many migrant children who reach the Mediterranean and are unable to reach the other shore. This is something which we need to deal with together, promoting regular immigration and combating illegal migration. And the people who smuggle migrants are the same people who smuggle arms and drugs. And this is something we can win as a battle only if we work together, because we have a common interest to have an exchange of knowledge, of workers, of know-how in an area which has always been a cradle of trade and exchanges between peoples. We Italians have been invaded, and we've had Mediterranean presences from various areas in the Mediterranean. Our names and surnames bear testimony. There are my name is something which has Arabic origins, bearing the name of a Sufi tradition. So obviously someone who came to Italy many centuries ago, but there are hundreds of thousands of Italians who have surnames of a foreign origin, which shows that there have always been exchanges in the Mediterranean. In our country, 40% of our GDP derives from exports, and we want our exports to continue to help our country to grow as it should help other countries to grow. It's important that this meeting also be attended by countries who are border on seas which are the continuation of the Mediterranean. Because the Mediterranean through the Suez Canal is connected to the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. These must be seas of peace, and we're working also to ensure that in the Red Sea too we can ensure freedom of navigation, freedom of shipping. We have had to protect our ships by sending a naval force, but we must also make sure that where goods are transported, weapons are not. So we have to work to promote a more effective dialogue among peoples, and also an interreligious dialogue. The three Abrahamic religions should not be involved in war, but work together for peace. When I was in the Gulf areas, I saw a mosque, a synagogue, and a Christian church side by side. Interreligious dialogue is essential in this in our Mediterranean area. They've always lived together, Jews, Muslims, and Christians, in countries where there is more than one religion, and this must be a contribution to unity and cooperation. And we have to work to construct peace in the ravaged area of the Middle East. We need to ensure that the ceasefire in Gaza may endure. There have been too many innocent victims. There are still hostages to be freed. We as Italians have always tried to assist people who are suffering. The other day, we, thanks to an action of the Foreign Ministry, and thanks to the intervention of our of our aviation, we've been taken in some Palestinian children who are suffering from tumors and who are now in the best children's hospitals in Italy. We want to continue to help people who suffer, and our help aid project, which is called Food for Gaza, is a project which has received the support both of the Palestinian National Authority and of the State of Israel. And through this we have sent trucks to the World Food Programme in order to distribute commodities to the civil population, not just foodstuffs, but also goods for health care products and commodities which are important to live. We're friends of Israel and friends of the Palestinians. We're not friends of Hamas. We want to bring peace, and we are convinced that it's possible to live together in peace. And this meeting, this assembly of such importance held in Rome, which truly wants to be a capital of peace, can make a very important contribution, because it's not that peace can be achieved overnight. Peace can only be built one day at a time. Each of us putting one drop in the ocean, and you as representatives of this wonderful area can truly make a contribution. The Italian government believes in this. We are fully convinced that it is possible to live together in peace, that we can truly transform the Mediterranean into a sea of well-being, of dialogue and of trade, where each of us can feel at home. Italy is doing a great deal of work in order to carry out a project in Africa, allowing that continent to become a continent which a continent today is rich, but it is inhabited by peoples who are often very poor. We have to ensure that the wealth under the African soil can allow the continent also to have a wealthy population. These are the goals of our Mattei plan. We're signing agreements in the business forum. On Sunday, the president of the UAE will be visiting. There'll be an important business forum with the Emirates. We'll also be working with Saudi Arabia, as we've done, and we will continue to work with all the other peoples of this wonderful area of the Mediterranean. In thanking you for being here with us in Italy, I would like to extend to all of you my wishes for your best success at this meeting. Thank you again for being here, bearing the interests of your peoples and representing the common interests of peace, well-being, and economic growth. And I wish you therefore a very successful meeting.
I wish to thank His Excellency Minister Tajani for his word and for his encouragement to this Assembly to continue on its path through parliamentary diplomacy to contribute to the peace and welfare of our region. Thanks a lot, Mr. Minister. Now I have the pleasure to invite to the floor an old and dear friend of PAM, Honorable Casini. Honorable Casini is the honorary president of the IPU. He is the president of the Italian group to the IPU, but, Mr. President, allow me to say a few words. In 2006, President Casini was the president of IPU, and it is during his presidency that PAM was created, as PAM was part of IPU under the name of the Conference on Security and Cooperation in the Mediterranean. And in a meeting in Naples in 2005, in Naflion in 2005, and then in Amman in 2006, PAM became a reality. And I wish to thank you, Senator Saporito, who is no longer with us, Senator Amoruso, President Migliore, Honorable Centemero, and all the delegates of the Italian delegation who made this a reality. I would also not be fair if I don't thank all the staff of the team of President Casini, who through the years have helped us for PAM to become the reality that you see here today, not to mention Mr. Sorbello, Susanna Radoni, Stefano Taulero, and the others. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, my friend. But now PAM is stronger, is more authoritative today, and we are very happy for this. And good luck for our friend Centemero. Is a strong leader, and I hope that with our guide you can work always better. Amici, dopo il Presidente.
Dear friends, after the Chair of the Chamber of Deputies, the Vice President, Prime Minister and the Vice Chair of the Senate. There is very little I can add because they have very clearly indicated what Italy's position is, i.e. we need to work together for a safer world and for peace. Italy believes in the importance of interfaith dialogue. No war can be waged in the name of God, as our foreign minister has just stated. And because of this, following an initiative of Mr. Fontana and Mr. Russo, chairs of the Chamber of Deputies and of the Senate, respectively, we're going to hold an important interfaith dialogue meeting in June. And all of the delegations of parliaments from all over the world will be invited to join us in this Jubilee year. It'll be an opportunity for us to talk about a number of issues from different religious points of view so as to build a future characterized by common dialogue. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean has grown, and as Minister Tajani has rightly pointed out, there is more to the Mediterranean than countries along the Mediterranean. The key concept is the broader Mediterranean. The Saudi delegation is joining the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, and that is a clear indication of how we must work together. So best wishes to you. I am confident that the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean will make an extraordinary contribution to parliamentary diplomacy, which is what we are committed to. Thank you.
Presidente Casini. Pleasure to invite to the floor, to the podium, President Enam Mayara, the President of PAM.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مع رئيس مجلس النواب الجمهورية الإيطالية.
In the name of our God the Most Merciful, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice Speaker of the Senate, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, allow me to speak on behalf of all of the delegates to welcome all of the guests who have joined us. And first and foremost, allow me to acknowledge and thank the Italian Foreign Minister, Mr. Tajani, and Ms. Simonita, the Minister of Tourism of Montenegro, and Ms. Dubravka, European Commissioner for the Mediterranean, as well as the Speaker of the Armenian Parliament and the speakers of the parliaments of Bahrain, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia and Montenegro, who are attending our meeting. I would also like to thank on your behalf the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Guterres, and Monsignor Gallagher, the Holy See, for what they have done and are doing for the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. I would also like to acknowledge Lidia Bretto, who is UNESCO Director General. And I would also like to welcome all of the representatives of international organizations and the ambassadors who are attending our meeting. In the history of our Assembly, this is a truly historic moment, and I would like to thank the speakers of the Italian Senate and Chamber of Deputies for having hosted our meeting, and this is a clear sign of the support Italy is giving to Mediterranean countries, both in the north and the south. I would also like to thank all of the Gulf countries who have chosen to send their delegates either as members or observers, and I'd like to add that Bahrain has become a full member of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, and allow me to extend a very warm welcome to our colleagues. I would also like to welcome the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which now has observer status, and this is excellent, given the weight that Saudi Arabia has, not just in the Arab world, but at a global level. Its role as an observer member will certainly contribute to strengthening cooperation between our parliaments throughout the Mediterranean region in order to pursue fair economic development and address crises, including illegal migration, terrorism, and wars that are still being waged in our region. We are sorry that the Tunisian and Syrian parliaments are not represented, and we hope that what has happened in Syria will benefit the Syrian people and the Mediterranean as a whole. We're delighted to welcome such a large number of members of parliament. And allow me to start by mentioning the ceasefire in Gaza. After 15 months, the war has not benefited anyone. There has been devastation and so many victims. We have to support this ceasefire so that the region can have a future and the Palestinian people be given the right to have an independent state within the borders of 67, with their capital in East Jerusalem. Israel, of course, must also have the right to existence and peace. And the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean has invariably promoted peace. And in our executive bureau, we've always wanted both Israel and Palestine as members, because we believe that it is only through this dialogue that we can build peace and achieve stability in the Middle East and in the Mediterranean in general. We are the cradle of civilization. And as such, the Mediterranean must teach everyone the significance of peaceful cohabitation. And certainly the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean has a key role to play in that context. We know that there's going to be a changeover. Miss Meriam from the United Arab Emirates will take over from Miss Joao, and we very much hope that the efforts being made will be such that women will have the role they deserve at national level, international level, and last not least within the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. Mr. Centemero tomorrow will be officially proclaimed as new president. I wish my dear friend all the best, and we will be by his side to ensure that we can deliver on, let's say, the commitments that we've made to promote dialogue, peace, and peaceful coexistence. We have to, of course, make sure that parliamentary diplomacy is strengthened and has a role to play with a view to building bridges, not walls. Our aim is to ensure that we can serve the interests of our countries, to ensure peace, stability, economic and social development. These are goals that are within reach for us all, and that is the very core of our work. I would like to thank you for such an extraordinary turnout. I would like to thank the Italian Parliament, both the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies, and really my thanks to you, dear colleagues. Your presence here shows that we're heading in the right direction. Thank you, and may the peace of Allah be with you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have now the pleasure to invite to the podium Honorable Dubravka Cvika, the European Commissioner for the Mediterranean. I'm grateful that she is here with us today, and for those who are not aware, Honorable Suica has been for 4 years the Vice President of PAM. She chaired a very important committee, and it's a great pleasure for us to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Buongiorno, good morning. Egregio Presidente della Camera.
Dear Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, dear Speaker of the Senate.
I'm more than pleased to be with you today here because I have very nice memories of the Parliamentary Assembly of Mediterranean. Some of you may remember that we have closely worked during my time as a member of the Croatian Parliament, where I was a Vice President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. It was 2007 to 2011. As many of you know, I have the privilege to chair the Croatian delegation of the PAM at our meetings in Monaco 2008, then in Istanbul 2009, then in Rabat 2010, and in my hometown of Dubrovnik in 2011. It's wonderful to be back today. Now you see that the circle is closed. This time I'm in new capacity as European Commissioner for Mediterranean. So this is first time that we have dedicated portfolio for Mediterranean, important political signal about the attention we are giving to the Mediterranean region. Our President, Ursula von der Leyen, decided to establish completely new portfolio for the Mediterranean because the whole attention was somehow at Ukraine, Eastern Partnership, Western Balkans, and people in the Mediterranean region felt somehow left behind, which was not the case, but this is not only symbolic, but this is really that we will be dealing with this region. I know that it is very important for Italy, but not only for Italy, for the whole of the Union. I'm supported with the new directorate, DG MENA, which was also established, and it is the first entry point for all the relevant issues of the Mediterranean. What are we doing? We are trying to strengthen partnerships between European Union, southern neighborhood, and Gulf countries. Although Gulf countries are not Mediterranean, but we are considering Gulf countries as a part of this region. So I think that this triangular cooperation is also important for this Parliamentary Assembly. And it's knowing that we have entered a new era of harsh geostrategic competition. All of you know that multilateralism is going through a difficult period. The rules of engagement are changing or have been changing. For us as European Union, mutual beneficial partnerships with third countries are our response to rising global competition. So we are trying to find common ground with all partners, and we want to be a first partner of choice to countries starting from our neighborhood. You know that Mediterranean has always had a special place in the heart and history of the Mediterranean people, of Europeans also, this was already said, knowing that we connect Africa, Europe, Middle East, Asia, and the Gulf countries, speaking about Mare Nostrum. But we know that Mediterranean region is facing several challenges. But, of course, there are also some developments. The current ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, between Israel and Hezbollah, the change of leadership in Syria, and the new government in Lebanon. We know that climate change is also an issue, which we already heard. Demographic pressures are intensifying in most countries. But last but not least, prosperity has become less predictable in a world of disruptive trade policies of some players. Our neighbors or at our southern borders are looking for economic opportunities, are looking to access to clean technologies, and also for the investments they need. The southern side of the Mediterranean, just like us, they have an interest, or you have an interest, in sustainable growth and jobs for your own population, for particularly young people. We often forget that in the southern neighborhood, 50% of the population is under the age of 24, and many of them are out of employment, out of education, and out of training. So what are we going to do? In this request for economic opportunities, our neighbors in the Mediterranean need reliable partners. So our first priority will be new pact for the Mediterranean. So we want to re-energize our partnerships hand in hand with our counterparts. So we want to consult everybody. We want to listen to everybody. Nothing will be imposed. I'm talking from the angle of the European Union. We want to make sure that we will together design this pact for the Mediterranean in the best possible way. So we will consult not only the authorities, but also civil society, private sector, and my first trip will be to Lebanon this afternoon. I will be visiting also Egypt next week. So I'm starting my tour all over Mediterranean in order to consult people there to see what would they like to see in this new pact for Mediterranean. In broader terms, what we would like to achieve: comprehensive partnerships in key areas of mutual interest first, and second, regional investment initiatives. Mattei Plan was mentioned several times, so Mattei Plan can be a role model for the initiatives which we want to achieve with our partners. Of course, all this will be tailor-made in accordance with the ideas of the countries we are talking to. We also have to take into account cultural dimension, from the protection of cultural heritage, tourism opportunities, museum cooperation, but there is one, the best idea I would like to somehow develop, and it is Mediterranean University Network, to have a network of Mediterranean universities all around the place. We must, of course, take in account the views of our member states. As we heard in Italy, there are strong historic ties, and we have to think about this. If you look at Greece, they have interest in Egypt. If you look at Italy, they have interest in Tunisia. If you look at Spain, they have interest in Morocco. But all of them all of us have some interest, and on that basis, I'm meeting heads of states, ministers, and we will be coordinating with both present and future presidencies of the Council of the European Union. So this pact will be ready, I hope, after the tour of the Mediterranean in September. As you know, we are not starting from the scratch. There are already some partnerships. One was signed with Tunisia, as you know. Another one was signed with Egypt, and both of them are delivering, both economically and also on tackling illegal migration. I know that there is a perception in the broader audience that all these agreements are only because of migration, and this is not the case. So migration is only one of the pillars of these agreements. So, and they are, as I said, they are delivering. On Tunisia, just to mention migration here, 57% less illegal migrants are coming since we signed this agreement. But there is much more to say on economy. And 3 weeks ago, I personally signed a new partnership agreement with Jordan, whom we consider as the most stable partner in that region. So this is what we are trying to do. We are working on Trans-Mediterranean Energy and Clean Tech Cooperation Initiative. It's about renewable energy. It's very important just to be open. We want to produce renewable energy. There is a lot of resources, wind, sun, hydrogen in that part of the world. As you know, we want to be independent from the Russian gas, from the Russian fuels, and this is one of the reasons why we want to invest in this region, to develop this region, to open new jobs. At the same time, we are tackling root causes of migration. So just to understand the philosophy of this new Mediterranean policy. Of course, it's about reducing or it's about competitiveness, it's about development, it's about decarbonization, it's about security in energy supply, as I already said. We are also trying to combat migrant smuggling, human trafficking, and we are strengthening legal pathways. When I say legal pathways, that means that we are signing talent partnerships with different countries. We already have with 4 or 5 countries. We are signing partnerships trying to balance which skills do we need, which skills do they need. Of course, we need doctors, engineers, but we don't want to create brain drain in these countries. So we want to speak on the balanced way. This is the reason why we are signing these partnerships, which means it's also brain gain, it's also brain circulation. Just wanted to mention that I'm also in charge of demography, so this has to do with demography too. It's very closely connected, migration and demography. On security, security is crucial, all of you know. We are stepping forward, we are stepping up the fight against organized crime. Closer cooperation with other key actors, not only North Africa, Maghreb countries, not only Middle East, it's also about other actors in the region. And when I say this, it's Gulf countries. So Gulf countries, we intend to work closely with our Gulf partners. Some of them are playing indispensable role in the mediation of the Israel-Palestine conflict. They are very important. And this brings me to our broader engagement in the Middle East. We think that European Union should play a stronger role in the creation of sustainable peace and stability, because they are our neighbors, they are our neighbors. Others are also important, but we live around these Mediterranean shores. So if we are not present, if we are not asking the right questions, if we are not pushing for inclusiveness, if we are not championing democratic values, who is doing this? So there are some accusations towards European Union. Why are we communicating or collaborating with some autocratic regimes? We say, who but us? So why do we leave this room for someone else? So this is very important. We think that where we can play a role, we should play a role, and this is what we are doing. On Syria and Gaza, only a few words. On Syria, I participated, I saw the members of Syrian government participated, in the conference last week in Paris, where I also had a bilateral meeting with Foreign Minister Al-Shaibani. We are cautiously optimistic, as there are positive signals on the path to peaceful and inclusive transition. Both the Syrian minister and several key partners underscored the urgent need for sanction relief. We know that this is sanctions relief. At the same time, emphasis was placed on the need for transition and to be closely monitored and for conditions to be met. You know that over the last 14 years, European Union has been leading in these efforts. Together with member states, we have been biggest assistance providers with more than 35 billion euros since 2011. Europe should remain present, and this is the moment to keep our support to the Syrian people to rebuild the country. On Brussels conference on Syria, this will take place mid-March. This is also very important, and we are thinking about safe, dignified, and voluntary return of Syrian refugees. Regarding Gaza, the ceasefire must be permanent. We have, as you know, we have redeployed short-term our border assistance mission to Rafah for humanitarian aid and to provide, to transfer or provide the medical assistance. We as European Union, this is very important, we are keen to rebuild Gaza as soon as possible. But this can be possible. This can be done only successful only in close cooperation with the Gulf countries and other stakeholders. We are planning to devise a multi-year support program for the Palestinian Authority because we see Palestinian Authority as our credible partner there. Our support is conditional on the delivery of reforms, which we are closely monitoring. This program with Palestinian Authority will pave the way at a two-state solution, which remains the only sustainable solution for lasting peace in the region. This means that we will continue our collaboration. This means, so I'm talking about Palestinian Authority. This means that we will continue our collaboration with Israel based on association agreement. In this regard, we will hold Association Council with Israel on Monday next week on the 24th to see, and we will raise all the issues on this agenda, just to make you aware. So we need someone at the table there. To conclude, as you know, the Mediterranean is an area of key partners. We have joint aspirations, and I think that we have to support each other, and this is the only way how we can make our region more prosperous. Why I'm mentioning that there are also other partners and other players. They are, but the southern neighborhood is not their neighborhood. It's our neighborhood. Gulf is it's Gulf neighborhood. They have interest for peace and security. They have interest for their business there, and this is why I think that all together we can make, if I may say, a deal. But this is something which is very important, and we will be. These are our main priorities there. So, as I said, this is new philosophy on the Mediterranean, and I think if we work together, that we can manage. Thank you very much, and all the best.
I wish to thank sincerely Commissioner Suika for her words. You know PAM better than everybody else. I think that on behalf of President Mayara and all delegations, consider us at your disposal. This is a very effective platform, and whatever we can do to support the peace, stability, and welfare of the region, we are with you. Said so, I would like to welcome Honorable Maurizio Martina, the Deputy Director General of FAO. It is a pleasure for us to welcome you here. As you know, we have an excellent cooperation with FAO on food security, on One Health, and we are working together at signing an MOU between FAO and the PAM.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Grazie mille. Intanto un caro saluto alle autorità italiane, al Presidente Fontana.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to greet the Italian authorities, the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the Chamber and Deputy Speaker of the Senate, the Foreign Ministry. I'd like to express my best wishes to Honorable Centemero, to thank the Secretary General, the President of PAM Assembly, and
today, this important gathering with the representative of various countries of the regions, and the timing of this meeting is particularly important in my mind. We all know that the historical momentum we are experiencing, and it's a momentum that some define as affected by the polycrisis, the conflicts, the natural disasters, the economy and social tensions. And in this context, we'll still face a critical need to address the global food insecurity and malnutrition. We know the real number of food insecure and malnourished people is high, too high. And around 1.4 billion people still lack adequate and daily access to food currently. With no paradigm shift, the update projection indicate that more or less 8% of the entire world population may still be hungry in 2014, and it's very far from the zero hunger target. To reverse this trend, we have to focus on the serious contradiction we are experiencing. First, hunger increases in the world, but every day, we waste at least 1/3 of the food that we produce, also in the Mediterranean area. Second, the agriculture provides the food we need to serve, but at the same time, it puts pressure, a lot of pressure, we know, on the environment, contributing to climate change. And the third, think about the nutrition paradox. Millions of children are undernourished, while adult obesity, not only adult, also, unfortunately, children obesity is increasing in all the regions, also in the Mediterranean area. Let me say We have made some progress. The improvement has been unequal, with many countries that continue to struggle with hunger and malnutrition. Data has shown that the countries with a high level of undernourishment and multiple forms of malnutrition often lack the ability to access financing. As stated in the recent FIO report, the unjust climate, less than 3% of climate finance goes to agriculture, and only 1.7% reach the small-scale production, the small-scale producers. This is a big problem for us, and I would say in particular in the Mediterranean area. This is not fair. This is not just. This is not suitable. To address this, we must prioritize mobilizing resources towards the countries most in need, enhancing financial inclusion and improving the coordination, the efficiency, the transparency of the international financial architecture. And indeed, the challenge of global food insecurity demands unfelt and multifaceted response. In a landmark move, the United Nations General Assembly underscored in particular also the critical role of the parliamentary bodies in achieving the 2030 agenda in a resolution in December 2022. I think this is absolutely important, in particular now, in particular in the current situation. While the governments bear the primary responsibilities for the SDG advancement, parliamentary bodies have a critical role to play with their law-making, oversight, budget and representative functions. The Pact for the Future recognized the vital role of national parliaments in shaping international cooperation and policy, underscoring the importance of engaging them in an intergovernmental process. And I think this is particularly true in a current global scenario to ensure more inclusive and more representative approach to international decision-making. At FIO, we understand and support the need for parliamentary action to achieve food security and nutrition for all. We are proud of our long-standing collaboration with parliamentarians. We co-organized the 2 Global Parliamentary Summit in Madrid in 2018, in Chile in 2023, while the second summit resulting in the first ever Global Parliamentarian Pact Against Hunger and Malnutrition. The parliamentary networks are also key stakeholders for agri-food systems transformation, and we have helped establish more than 50 feet. In addition, we supported the creation of more than 100 laws and policies on food security and nutrition across the world, thanks to the parliamentary. And from school feeding to family farming, from agroecology to food safety, at the work done by Codex, FAO has been accompanying the parliamentarians in making informed decisions that benefit their constituents. And the Global Pact, adopted during the second summit in Chile, represents a unified commitment by parliamentary networks and parliamentarians worldwide. It facilitated networking between legislators, encouraging engagement in knowledge, experiences, an example of successful intervention, which is key in helping drive future actions. And even more, in view of the third Global Parliamentary Summit, which will be held in South Africa next year. Dear friends, dear colleagues, FAO's collaboration with the Parlamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean is critical, and this assembly can influence a lot decisions and strengthen public policy across the entire region that support fair trade, access to resources, and resilience against climate change in particular. It's an important platform to collectively promote resilience, food sovereignty, and equitable growth, in particular in rural communities across the Mediterranean. Mediterranean countries are united by the cultural value that include their agricultural production systems, economy valorization of rural territories and food tradition, in particular when we speak about Mediterranean diet, and for sure also the rich biodiversity. But they also share common challenge. Think about the climate change. We know very well the Mediterranean region is warming 20% faster than the global average. Or urbanization and demographic growth. As a specialized UN agency, FAO stands ready to provide its members with technical support and collaboration to end hunger and malnutrition in line with the local development efforts. The right to food serves as a guiding principle and catalyst for the transformation. It's a fundamental human right. Food is one of the most basic human needs. Rethinking the multilateralism mechanism as a space for the global cooperation represents an imperative for the international community, and especially for the technical agencies like us, like FAO, with the mandate of eradicating hunger. I encourage us to seize the opportunities offered by this important gathering. The parliamentarians are home to democracy, and the United Nations is the home of the multilateralism. And this forum offers, I think, a crucial, important opportunity for dialogue and collaboration to manage the worldwide challenges such as hunger, poverty, climate change, and inequality. I thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I have the pleasure now to call to the podium His Excellency Honorable Dejan Durovic, who is the head of the delegation of Montenegro, and he will intervene on behalf of Honorable Mandic, the President of the Parliament of Montenegro. He has an important announcement for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Poštovani predsjedniče Skupštine, gospodine Majara.
Dear Mr. Majara, dear Honorable President of the Italian Chamber of Deputies, Mr. Fontana, Honorable President of the Italian Senate, Mr. La Russa, dear EU Commissioner, Ms. Šuica, esteemed Vice President of the Egyptian House of Representatives, Honorable Secretary General of PAM, Mr. Piazzi, Mr. Antonio Tajani, he was here until recently. I will be very brief since we have to leave to Montenegro. We have our parliamentary session, but we will return tomorrow again. Let me tell you that it is with great pleasure that I address you today as the head of the Parliament of Montenegro's delegation to PAM at this 19th plenary session. I would like to begin by commending the flawless organization of this event. With special pleasure, I would like to convey a warm invitation from the Parliament of Montenegro and our speaker, Mr. Mandic, for you to be our dear guest at the 20th PAM session, to be hosted in our beautiful Montenegro in the first half of 2026. The next plenary session of PAM will hold special significance. The next plenary session of PAM will hold special significance because it is the 20th anniversary session, but also because it will host for the first time the summit of presidents of parliaments of PAM member states initiated by Speaker Mandic. Specifically, this event presents a unique opportunity to showcase the progress of Montenegro on its path to EU. See you in Podgorica. All the best. I wish you a fruitful work.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind invitation. And I have now the privilege and pleasure to invite to the podium Excellency Dr. Mishal Al-Salmi, Vice President of the Shura of Saudi Arabia. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معالي السيد الرئيس،
Mr. Al-Sayyara, President of PAM, President of the Chamber of Morocco, of the Chamber of Deputies of Italy and the Senate of Italy, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Presidents of Parliament and distinguished attendees. It is a great pleasure for me to extend my thanks and my appreciation to the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean for the decision to admit the Shura Council of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in your esteemed Parliament as an observer. I wish to express our pride with this decision, which will strengthen and develop our relations and which reflects the deep common belief in the importance of joint cooperation to achieve common goals and objectives for the benefit of both sides. I also wish to thank His Excellency Enam Mayara, President of PAM, and the President of the House of Councillors of the Kingdom of Morocco for his continuous communication and appreciated efforts that have contributed greatly to the accession of the Shura Council to the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. I would also like to convey to you the greetings and appreciation of His Excellency the Speaker of the Shura Council, who attaches great importance to this decision and emphasizes the significance of fruitful and constructive cooperation between the Shura Council and the Mediterranean Parliament. Your Excellencies, the accession of the Saudi Shura Council to the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean with observer status will constitute a mutual qualitative addition to the field of parliamentary work in the legislative oversight and parliamentary diplomacy aspects. In addition, it will represent an opportunity to exchange experiences and viewpoints, especially since the Shura Council has a long history and extensive administrative and legislative experience extending back to more than 100 years, and it is considered an active member in all regional and international parliamentary unions and organizations. Therefore, this accession will constitute a quantitative leap in strengthening relations between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Mediterranean countries in all fields. We see our accession to this organization as very important. We want to work to coordinate our efforts with the Mediterranean Parliament and to attempt to sustain dialogue and exchange of experience and strengthen cooperation between Mediterranean countries and the countries of the Arabian Gulf, so as to bring benefits to all countries. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to say that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has a constructive role in achieving security and stability in the region in light of the changes that the world is witnessing today. We have presented many political, economic, developmental and environmental petitions and initiatives that aim to end wars and conflicts, promote development, and spread the values of peace and tolerance to all countries and peoples of the region. After the Arab Peace Initiative in 2002 to end the Arab-Israeli conflict, the 2022 ceasefire initiative in Yemen, and sponsoring peace talks between the Sudanese parties in the city of Jeddah in 2023, and the Economic Corridor project linking India, the Middle East and Europe in 2023, which enhances economic and trade interconnection between the three continents and contributes to accelerating the movement of trade and the transfer of goods and services. In 2024, we've worked for the two peoples, two-state solution. We have, a few days ago, hosted the talks between Americans and Russians in Riyadh. And we also provided relief and humanitarian aid to countries and peoples affected by wars and natural disasters, worth more than $133 billion. There are other programs which are held in many places in order to address the challenges of climate change, reducing global warming, promoting the use of clean energy, and achieving zero carbon neutrality by 2050. Finally, Your Excellencies, I wish to extend my sincere thanks to all of you, in particular the Republic of Italy and the Italian Parliament, for having hosted this meeting. I also wish to thank the President of PAM, the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, Mr. Enam Mayara, and the Secretary General of the Parliament, wishing everybody success in achieving positive results. Peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you.
Much for your word. Now we have the intervention of His Excellency Honorable Mohammed Boulainin, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives of Egypt and PAM President Emeritus. As soon as Honorable Boulainin finishes his intervention, we will have the family photo here in the room, and then we will continue with the distinguished colleague from Qatar.
Bismillah.
In the name of Allah, President of the Italian Chamber of Deputies, Vice President of the Senate, my dear friend Mr. Casini, Mr. President of PAM, Secretary General, eminent members and audience, welcome this morning, and also wish to express a welcome to Saudi Arabia, which will join us in this organization and continue the success we've seen over the last 20 years. And I wish to welcome all of you and all the peoples, the free peoples who wish to join PAM in order to continue this path together and achieve lasting goals for all countries in the north and the south of the Mediterranean. Dear colleagues, this meeting is being held at a time marked by geopolitical challenges and wars, and we know what is happening in the Middle East, and what can be done in order to avoid many dangers, what we can do as members of Parliament when we return to our countries, the question is the following. What have we can ask ourselves, what have we done? And what have we discussed? What we have discussed, is it feasible, and what's the roadmap we can apply for the future, and a better future for the north and the south of the Mediterranean? Dear colleagues, we know very well that the biggest problem in the region is the Arab-Israeli conflict, and we cannot neglect this conflict and forget the truth and not look at the roots of this problem. The roots, which, as we know very well, stem from occupation, the Israeli occupation of Arab land. In Palestine, in Syria, in Lebanon, and most of the peoples of the world have said the truth. And I commend them. They have said no to the occupation, no to bloodshed, no to wars, no to destruction and devastation. Israel has carried out 5 wars against Gaza. 5 wars. And the question is, what was the result of this? Did they win? Did they destroy Hamas? The Palestinian people, is the Palestinian people in a good condition today? Did they just stand by and watch, or was there resistance on the part of the Palestinian people, which was attacked by missiles and bombs, and which has remained head held high and firm in their own land? Because their land is their dignity. It is theirs, it is their history. This is the Arab culture. This is the first message I would like to extend to you today. You must know that the Arab nation will never accept dispersal of the Palestinian people, will never accept a decision at the expense of another Arab land. It will not accept any other solution apart from a Palestinian state within the borders of 1967, with East Jerusalem as capital. These are the firm positions of the Arab peoples. These are the essential firm points on which we have to build peace in the region. Recently, we've heard speak of many initiatives which have nothing to do with reality. And this is disinformation. This is not the truth. We know what the truth is. This did not begin on the 7th of October. It goes back to 1948 with the occupation, and then the 1967 war, and the second occupation of the historic territory of Palestine. Today, Palestinian people are in 22% of their historical territory. They're now only in the West Bank and in Gaza. They've been sent away from all the other territories. There are now plans for a forced eviction of Palestinians from all the Palestinian land, but this will never happen. Ladies and gentlemen, you know very well what the Egyptian authorities have done, starting with President al-Sisi at UN conferences with Arab countries and with the Arab peoples. He has said this is a red line and cannot be crossed. Otherwise, everything will collapse completely, and there'll be terrible wars in the region. We pray to God, to Allah, that this may not happen. Egypt has undertaken many initiatives. This initiative with Qatar, with the United States. When there was a will to reach a ceasefire, there was a ceasefire. When there will be a will to make peace, we will have peace. When President Anwar Sadat went to Camp David with President Carter in 1979, he signed a peace agreement. There was a will on the part of the Egyptian leadership with the Israeli leadership and with the U.S. administration. I would like to be able to repeat this meeting and for you to work for this meeting with the United States, with the Israelis, and with the Palestinians in order to discuss peace principles and achieve a lasting and fair peace agreement in the region. I hope that you will be able to focus on this initiative, and this is something which must be our mission in the world. There will be no peace if the rights of the Palestinian people are not paid attention to. We need a new initiative with new language. 30 years from the Barcelona Agreement, we need to understand what the new challenges are, what the new problems are, and we need to find solutions. The world is changing fast. East and West, we have to understand where we stand and what we can do. Today we speak of peace in the region, short peace, and we talk about economic peace. I'm very glad when I heard the European Commissioner 6 months ago. The President of the European Commission came to Egypt and signed 29 projects in Egypt with 29 Egyptian entrepreneurs. These are for future industries. And Egypt wants to work to build up a new industrial civilization. You know that the grand projects in northern Egypt on the Mediterranean are huge projects which the colleagues from the Emirates cooperate. 160 billion is the cost of these projects in order to establish a major tourist development, and there are major cities behind this. Egypt is on the shore which looks towards Europe. We need to think of our future industries. There are laws which protect all investors. This is the main goal. We have laws, we have regulations, there are cities, specialized cities, and there's also the possibility to operate in the area, and with great pride I would like to ask you to look into this opportunity and to give you some good news. This year we will be opening the largest Egyptian museum in the world with 100,000 archaeological specimens adjacent to the Great Three Pyramids. And this is something of great cultural importance for our country and for promoting development. You know how important the ancient Egyptian civilization is. We must understand the role of Egypt. Egypt hosted more than 9 million guests. We don't call them refugees, we call them guests because they enjoy all the rights of Egyptians, health and education, like Egyptian citizens. And you know that we have sacrificed a great deal. And in the Suez Canal we lose $7 million a year, more than $7 billion, and this year perhaps we'll lose even more. We're facing a huge challenge. Why these losses? Why these wars? Why this destruction? We have an initiative. We're preparing for the reconstruction of Gaza with Egyptians and Israelis, with the Palestinians who will live on their land. and they will reconstruct their cities, and they will stay in their city. They will not leave despite all the challenges. I am very glad, after having heard what's been said about many initiatives. I'd like to thank my brother Sergio for all the efforts undertaken to organize this meeting. Also wish to thank the Italian Parliament, the Italian government for their hospitality. Thank you, and may the peace of Allah be on you.
Now I invite the podium to come here in front for the family picture with all the colleagues. Yeah, we have to go down pour la photo ici.
Qualcuno deve togliere, sì, se no ci va uno davanti col coso, se ci sono problemi lungaggio.
Stay there.
Fai foto al Presidente Giulio Centemero, vai. Hai fatto Presidente Centemero? Soprattutto loro due. Tutte le volte c'è sto problema. No ragazzi. No. Basta uno che va davanti con il...
Tutti in centro.
Cari, se riesci con una cartellina a oscurare il proiettore, un attimo, ti spiace?
Ferma.
Spegnete, facciamo prima così. No, oscura il proiettore.
Ecco, c'è.
Scem. Alle
No, non si riesce. Ragazzi, passo indietro.
Scusa, io l'ho fatta.
Scusa.
Più qua.
Okay.
Grazie.
Grazie. Can you kindly look here? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fate un attimo avanti. Anche qui, sorry. In the middle, please. Thank you. Thank you to you.
Thank you.
L'autore giustamente non l'avevamo calcolata minimamente. Meno male che
Ha fatto una foto?
si bruciava tutto.
Scem.
Yeah, I know, but they can. Hello, we are going to start again. Please take your seat. We are going to resume the session. Please, if you delegates can take their seat. Ciao. Come... Please, if delegates can take the seat, we are going to start. The distinguished delegate.
Just to say hello.
Hi.
My name is Fahad from Saudi Arabia.
May I ask the delegates to resume? Federica, can you help me, please? Can we start? Can I ask the delegate to take the seat, please? May I ask the delegate to take their seat, please? We are going to resume the session. We are going to resume the session. Hello, we are going to resume the session. May I ask the delegation to sit? Listen, we are going to resume the session. May I? There is. We are going to resume the session. May I invite all the delegates to take their seat? Very good. Thank you very much. I have now the pleasure to request the presence of Honorable Hamd Hassan Al-Sulaiti, the Vice President of the Shura Council of Qatar, to join us on the podium. Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker.
Madam Deputy Speaker. Sorry.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد.
In the name of God, the merciful, peace and prayers on our Prophet and his followers. Your Excellency, President, Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, Your Excellencies, presidents of the delegations attending the 19th plenary session of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. Peace be with you. Allow me, first of all, to express my thanks to the hosting country, Italy, for its excellent organization and friendship. I would also like to thank the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean Secretary General for the organization, and I would also like to add my appreciation to my colleagues from Qatar. I'd like to start by saying that there is hope after 15 months of war that there may be a lasting ceasefire in Gaza and in southern Lebanon. The devastation in Gaza is unprecedented. 160,000 martyrs, including women and children. 74% of buildings and infrastructures have been destroyed. 1,100,000 Palestinians need a home and will need billions of dollars for reconstruction purposes, and reconstruction is going to take years. Despite the ceasefire, which was made possible by Qatar and Egypt, the occupying Israeli army continues to target the Palestinian people. And it continues to bomb areas within the Strip, causing many victims and wounded. Efforts are underway to try and restore infrastructures in Gaza, and also to recover the bodies under the rubble. We know that there are thousands of bodies buried under the debris caused by the bombings. We are firmly against the displacement of the people of Gaza. Ladies and gentlemen, Qatar believes in stability in the Middle East. Security and stability are our priorities. Under the guidance of our Sheikh, my country is sparing no effort to build peace, and we are doing everything we possibly can to establish contacts, to support efforts to solve conflicts and spread peace and well-being. The state of Qatar has a foreign policy based on some core principles, such as promoting international cooperation and dialogue as the sole means of settling disputes. Between states and within states, peaceful dialogue is essential. In addition to that, there has to be preventive diplomacy. To confirm this principle and to safeguard peace, Qatar is a neutral mediator and has succeeded in solving numerous conflicts between states. My country continues to work tirelessly to solve many regional and international conflicts. Qatar has supported all efforts for peace in the Middle East for decades and has welcomed all attempts made to solve the Palestinian crisis in line with UN resolutions. Stability in the Middle East requires a fair and sustainable solution so that the Palestinian people may have their state within the borders established on the 4th of June 1967, with the capital in East Jerusalem, with the right to return, with compensation to the families of the victims and the release of all hostages. Without this, there can be no peace in the region. There can be no peace without a fair solution. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be addressing a number of topics of a regional and global nature, such as human trafficking in the Mediterranean and in the Arab Gulf, and the right to water, the right to health. We will also be addressing other topics such as AI, biodiversity, climate change, and other threats such as terrorism. Qatar supports all efforts to combat terrorism. We host 2 ad hoc offices to this end: the UN programme with parliamentary participation and the Transnational Centre for the Fight Against Terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, Qatar is committed to developing safe AI. Artificial intelligence is a tool that we must know how to use, especially in military context. And my country is striving to develop a multi-pronged approach to promote the use of artificial intelligence. And this is based on 6 key points: education, suitable data banks, trade commitment, ethics, to name a few. And this approach to the development of artificial intelligence is our vision with respect to our 2030 vision, which is based on human, industrial, social, environmental development. Qatar is in the process of adapting its legislation to guarantee a safe use of artificial intelligence, and we have a 2023 resolution which was issued by the head of our government regarding the use and applications of artificial intelligence. We're also trying to establish an adequate legal framework to safeguard data banks to avoid criminal use of these data banks. And this is done in order to ensure that there's an appropriate balance between artificial intelligence and the environment. We obviously are also committed to fighting climate change. We have signed the UN framework convention on climate change. We signed the Kyoto Protocol as well as the Paris Agreement. We are members of ARENA, which supports those countries that are committed to using sustainable sources of energy. We're trying to cut back our CO2 emissions. We have actually successfully reduced the production of greenhouse gases by 25%. We are striving to reduce emissions, which is a priority for our state. With respect to climate change, we have appointed a special delegate to safeguard the environment, to fight climate change, to ensure the well-being of future generations. And our Ministry for the Environment has also launched a strategy for the period 2024-2030 with the motto "For a Safer Future," in line with other objectives that we have identified in order to guarantee sustainable future. We have adopted through the Green Qatar initiative a number of criteria to guarantee greater stability. We have undertaken to guarantee that our infrastructures can, let's say, be healthier. We have issued green bonds amounting to $2.5 billion, and this is the first such instance for environmentally friendly projects. I would like to end by thanking the experts for all of their research, which aims to guarantee that all can benefit from their work. And I very happy that the Shura of Qatar enjoys excellent partnership with the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean with a view to working together to find constructive solutions. I end calling upon you all the peace and blessings of Allah. E ringraziamo l'onorevole Al-Sulaiti per il suo intervento e ringraziamo appunto il Qatar per il sostegno che abbiamo ricevuto. Prima di dare la parola a Sua Eccellenza Jehad Abdullah Al-Fadel, secondo vicepresidente del Consiglio della Shura di Bahrain, vorrei aggiungere che subito dopo verrà trasmesso il videomessaggio del segretario generale delle Nazioni Unite e il videomessaggio del segretario della Santa Sede per i rapporti con gli Stati e l'organizzazione internazionale, Sua Eccellenza Paul Gallagher. A lei la parola. Grazie.
معالي الرئيس النعمة ميارة.
In the name of Allah, the merciful and compassionate Mr. President, members of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, ladies and gentlemen, may the blessings of Allah be upon you. Allow me to start by bringing you the best wishes of our Shura President and the Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies of Bahrain. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean works towards promoting regional international cooperation, and we are fully in line with this, given that it allows us to pursue our key targets, peace and stability. I would also like to thank the Senate of the Republic of Italy and the Chamber of Deputies of the Republic of Italy for having hosted this meeting. I acknowledge that this has required a significant amount of hard work, and this enables us to promote dialogue among our various countries. This is a unique opportunity and platform for us to have an exchange of views and experience for the good of our people, so as to guarantee that there can be mutual trust. Since Bahrain joined the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, we pursued our commitment to ensure that we could always have very strong ties with member countries. We have participated constructively to all of the activities of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, given that there are many areas of common interest. And that is why we welcome the fact that the Shura of Bahrain has been welcomed as a full member of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, and this is a recognition of the fact that the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean is a key player, and we wish to contribute actively and effectively. And as full members, we wish to continue working within the framework of the activities of our parliaments in the Gulf Cooperation Council and those countries that have already, let's say, joined the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean to promote economic and political dialogue and exchanges between Mediterranean countries and Gulf countries for the good of our peoples. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, parliamentary diplomacy is key to promoting understanding and dialogue under the wise guidance of His Majesty, our King. May God protect him. We have continuously obtained support also from the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister, and thanks to this guidance we are able to continue ensuring that parliaments play a key role to promote international cooperation and adequately tackle the common challenges before us. The Kingdom of Bahrain believes that development and cooperation in the Mediterranean demand that parliamentary cooperation play a key role to tackle wars, conflicts, economic crises, and climate change. Through this parliamentary cooperation, which has to be, let's say, of an ongoing nature, we also are committed to ensuring coordination of the activities of our legislative assemblies so that we can provide swift solutions to, let's say, ensure that we meet our people's expectations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to end by saying that the current challenges require that we strengthen our cooperation and try and have a shared vision in order to build a stable future and find solutions to global challenges so as to ensure that peace and well-being for the present and future generations may follow. Thank you very much for your kind attention. May the peace and blessings of God be with you all.
I wish to thank Her Excellency Dr. Jihad for her statement and to welcome Bahrain as a full member of PAM. Now we have, in accordance with our in the framework of our excellent cooperation with the United Nations, a message from His Excellency Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General.
Excellencies, dear parliamentarians, I am pleased to convey my warm greetings as you gather for this 19th plenary session of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. Your region is an extraordinary bridge between continents, cultures, and traditions, and your collective voice resonates far beyond the Mediterranean shores. As a former parliamentarian myself, I greatly value that voice in addressing shared challenges. I know you are focusing on a number of those challenges at your plenary session. As I look around the world, 4 tests stand out because they represent at best threats that could disrupt every aspect of our agenda and at worst upend our very existence. Rampant inequalities, the raging climate crisis, out-of-control technology including artificial intelligence without guardrails, and of course runaway conflicts. As you know so well, the Middle East is in a period of profound transformation rife with uncertainty, but also possibility. It is clear the region is being reshaped, but it's not clear what will emerge. We have a responsibility to help make sure the people of the Middle East come out with peace, dignity, and a horizon of hope grounded in action. In Gaza, that means, as we have long been calling for, the release of all hostages, a permanent ceasefire, and irreversible progress towards a two-state solution. In Lebanon, we are working to consolidate the cessation of hostilities, support a government where all Lebanese will feel represented, and a state that will be able to guarantee security to all its citizens. And in Syria, we stand behind an inclusive process in which the rights of all are fully respected, and that paves the way towards a united and sovereign Syria with its territorial integrity fully reestablished. Finally, I want to thank you for your support for implementing the UN Pact for the Future. You understand that this ties directly to advancing trust, which you have rightly defined as a strategic issue, and to shaping global governance institutions fit for the 21st century. Once again, thank you for your vital voice and leadership. Let's keep working for peace, sustainable development and human rights, for the people of the Mediterranean region and for the world. Thank you.
Our thanks to Secretary General Gutierrez, with whom PAM, as you know, keeps a very close relation, and we have an annual meeting with him, a consultation on how PAM can support the action of the United Nations. Now, I have the great honor to request the Secretariat to show another video by His Excellency Monsignor Paul Gallagher, Secretary for the Holy See Relation with the State and International Organization. As you know, the Vatican is an observer to PAM, and I think on behalf of all of us, we wish to Holy Father Pope Francis a speedy recovery. Thank you.
I would like to extend my warm greetings to all the participants of this 19th plenary session of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. I cordially thank His Excellency Senator Enam Mayara, President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean and President of the Chamber of Councillors of the Parliament of Morocco, His Excellency Senator Ignazio La Russa, President of the Italian Senate, and His Excellency the Honourable Lorenzo Fontana, President of the Italian Chamber of Deputies, for the kind invitation to deliver a video message for this occasion. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean was established in 2005 as a platform for political dialogue and parliamentary cooperation in the Euro-Mediterranean and Gulf regions. Its main objective is to forge political, economic and social cooperation between member states in order to find common solutions to the challenges facing the Euro-Mediterranean and Gulf regions, and to create a space for peace and prosperity for its peoples. As you well know, PAM carries out most of its activities within three standing committees. 1, political and security-related cooperation. 2, economic, social and environmental cooperation. 3, dialogue among civilization and human rights. All these activities, as articulated in PAM's main objective, are aimed at achieving peace and prosperity for its peoples. In other words, PAM was founded with the noble vision of placing the human person at the center of all its activities. Catholic social teaching has always maintained that the human person, created in the image and likeness of God, is of inestimable worth, whose unique human dignity must be safeguarded, and for whom civil authority has the duty to promote the common good. In fact, Pope Francis, in his address to the European Parliament, reaffirmed the centrality of the human person, which otherwise is at the mercy of the whims and the powers of the moment, emphasizing that promoting the dignity of the person means recognizing that he or she possesses inalienable rights which no one may take away arbitrarily, much less for the sake of economic interests. While the dignity and rights of the human person are universal and do not depend on a given set of beliefs, For Christians and other people of faith, human dignity takes on an even deeper meaning. As Pope Francis has said, while respecting our differences, faith in God leads us to acknowledge the eminent dignity of each human being, as well as his or her inalienable rights. We believe that God created human beings equal in rights, duties, and dignity, and he calls them to live as brothers and sisters and to spread the values of goodness, love, and peace. As members of Parliament, you have the noble role of shaping just political, economic, and social policies for the benefit of your peoples, the peoples you represent in the European, Mediterranean, and Gulf regions. Indeed, the fundamental criterion and motivation for a politician's work should not be success, much less material gain. Politics must pursue justice, which is an essential condition for peace. The fundamental task of a politician is to serve what is right and to fight against that which could undermine the truth and the good. Justice must indeed be your primary concern, aimed at creating conditions of equal opportunity for all, thus counteracting those policies and structures that would favour some to the disadvantage of others. This year, the Catholic Church is celebrating the 2025 Jubilee Holy Year under the theme, Hope Does Not Disappoint. I would like to conclude my message by echoing the words that Pope Francis addressed to the diplomatic corps accredited to the Holy See at the beginning of this year. He said, "My prayerful hope for this new year is that the Jubilee may represent for everyone, Christians and non-Christians alike, an opportunity also to rethink the relationships that bind us to one another as human beings and political communities, but also to overcome the logic of confrontation and embrace instead the logic of encounter, so that the future does not find us hopelessly adrift, but pressing forward as pilgrims of hope, individuals and communities on the move, committed to building a future of peace." I thank you for your attention.
I wish to thank Monsignor Gallagher for his words on behalf of the Holy See, and he is an old friend of PAM because we work a lot with him when he was Apostolic Nuntius in Egypt, and with Honorable Boulanin, we indeed had a lot of cooperation with him. There were terrorist attacks against the churches, if you remember. Now we come to an end to the opening session. I invite President Roque to join us on the podium, and President Mayara is excused because he has a number of bilateral meetings. Thank you, President.